Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are Millennial Mom. If you don't know who is who, I'm Millennial. This is Mom.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Mom or Kay from Millennial Mom. And today I'm going to talk to you about Family or Fiancé. It is back on OWN for season 4, episode 1. The first episode is called James and Jamica Kissing Cousins. Listen, Family or Fiancé, in my opinion, started out with a bang. Hopefully the rest of the season follows through, because this episode, listen, I had to pause it a few times because of the audacity of not just James, but Jamica, and then James and Jamica together. So hopefully you got a chance to watch it. Again, it's back on OWN Saturday nights. And here we are. So if you are new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you already subscribed, thank you so much. Everyone, please don't forget to hit that like button and leave me your comments. And if you are new to Family or Fiancé, let me know what you think. And if you've been here before, we're back. I think Family Fiancé was on early last year, or maybe the year before that. It has had a really long hiatus, but again, we're back and I'm here for it. All right. So as mentioned, the couple on the show, James and Jamica, kissing cousins. Let me show you their picture. The picture is also part of the thumbnail. Here they are in all their glory. Now, do y'all see something on here? Okay. They both have their manicures done. All right. He's got glitter. I don't know if those are overlays or acrylics or gels, but he has them on, and so does she, in multiple colors. Don't they look so happy right there? They have on their denim in this episode. They also have on pink and different colors. They like to matchy all the time. I thought there was something really that was hot with like the younger age group. I mean, you could matchy at any time, but they're giving like they matchy day-to-day life. Like it's the thing to do when you're like 15, 16, whatever. Not if you're going to an event or something. I get that. But here's the thing. All right. They are third cousins. And they're trying to make it seem like this is okay. Now, to some of y'all, it might be okay. But for me, it's not okay. All right. Because listen, if you married into the family, it's not okay. And if you're bloodline with a cousin, with a family member, it's not okay. They said they met at a family member's funeral of one of their cousins, okay? When she was 18, he was 30. So there is a 12-year age gap there, which, is fine with the age gap. If, some people, age is nothing but a number. But in this case, you're third cousins. They described it as James's mother and her mother, Jamica's mother, they're second cousins. So their sisters are first cousins. They had babies, second cousins. So now they're third cousins. And they met at a funeral of their cousins, because sometimes you don't know who all your family is. But see, they tried to make it seem like it was like that. But they already started down the road of lying and misleading. Maybe that's a better word, because for some people lying is a bad word. We'll say misleading, okay? Because if you know that his mother and your mother are second cousins, what makes you think this is like the thing to do? Like, oh yeah, we didn't know. Like I was gonna say, sometimes you don't know who all your family is if you live in different parts of the world or whatever. But James and her mom grew up together. You know what I'm saying? So they was kicking it when they was younger. He was probably there when she was born. I mean, miss me with all this nonsense. But let's get back to the show. I digress. So the cousin's funeral was back in 1999. She was 18. He was 32. Again, they're trying to make it seem like, oh, yeah, we're cousins, but we didn't know. You knew. All right. Is it me, or does James give a different type of energy? Not necessarily because his nails are done, because I know some men get manicures. They don't necessarily, get all the acrylics and the gels and overlays or whatever. But James is giving a different vibe. I caught on the vibe before the show even continued. I mean, he's just sitting there. Just his energy is just way off. Jamica is living the life as if this is just her new man. She don't care what's happening. She don't care what her family says, even though she does a little bit, because she says that her family is against it, even her daughters. She has 6 daughters. Okay. He has 2 daughters and 2 biological daughters and 3 he helped raise. She knows that her daughters, she said that they ride for the dad. And I'm like, maybe they ride for the dad because turns out that she is not divorced from the dad while she's engaged to her cousin, when James has been married 3 times and he's also not divorced. Okay. I'm just like, why are we on Family Fiancé? This needs to be in a therapy group for real, not with your marriage family therapist, in therapy to find out what the real issue is here. Well, anyways, we're going to find out who's coming to the Family Fiancé house so that they can know what's going on. Now, here's the thing. James's daughter, she seems like she's a little older. She seems like she's about in her 20s, right? Young 20s. She has an idea of what's going on because Jamica has been around her dad. So coming to support James is one of his daughters, a friend and a brother. And his 2 friends don't know what's going on. And so on Jamica's side, she has her mom, one of her daughters, and a friend. Jamica seems to think that her mom will have things to say, but she's not going to blow up. I'm like, okay, but you know what? If it was me, it would be a whole different situation. Because the answer would have been, you've got to be kidding me, or I know you, beep, line. Okay, from jump. So anyways, when Tracy says, well, when the family comes and you announce that you're not just cousins, that you're fiancés, I want you to sit down with each other's families respectively for a task, for like a question and answer session, and do your best to open up to see if you can figure out where everybody's mind is, and just to see if you can clear the air a little bit. So when the families arrive, they're like, hey, how's everybody doing? Again, there's a lot of tension. Each other gets introduced. And so when they bring everybody together, they say, hey, we're really engaged. And it was like, what? I think the person that took it the most hard and hurtful is Jamica's daughter. Her daughter, I believe her name is Kiara. She took it the hardest when it was first announced. So when she sits down with his family, he sits down with her family. The questions that were written down anonymously, right, were pretty much the same questions about, how do you feel like this is going to work? What makes you think that, this is the lifestyle you want to create? You kept things hidden and secret, and just all kind of questions that most people will ask for people who are blindsided, your family, about marrying your cousin. James isn't as receptive to all what's going on with the questions and just with the process in general. He's very standoffish. He feels like everything is coming against him, like what he says doesn't matter. I'm like, well, you do get the impression of you're a Rolling Stone and that you really don't give 2 flying nickels about what's really going on with your family and how they feel, and it's all about you. I mean, what do you expect here? But anyways, Jamica, when she's talking to his family members, drops a bombshell when it's expressed that she actually lost a baby that she was carrying. Because I do believe one of the anonymous questions was, do you plan on having children? And when she said that she lost the baby, James's daughter, I get their names. One's name is Kia. One, I forgot the other one's name. But anyways, James's daughter, she just automatically broke down and started crying. And she didn't say necessarily why, but she just said it's very hurtful to know that he can bring another potentially child in this world when he wasn't here for us. Now, she went into more detail later as to why, more things came about with her, but that's just what she said from the very beginning. And I felt very sad for her because the news, she instantly, them tears was rolling. I'm like, wow, there's got to be more to the story. And like I said, we found out later that there was. And so, anyways, let me jump back just a little bit. I forgot this one little detail. So when they met at the cousin's funeral in 1999, 18 and 32, they reconnected in 2018 on social media. And it turns out that James said his one of his homeboys saw her, was like, hey man, who's that? He's like, oh yeah, that's my cousin. You know what I'm saying? And so he reached out and they got together, and then they met up in August of that year and then was engaged in October of that year as well. So that's the backstory. I apologize, I skipped that. But there's just way too many details of, them trying to act like they're not blood-related cousins and the issues that it's causing within the family dynamic. And on top of that, as mentioned, you could tell there's something off with James and his personality and him just being distant and just the smirk on his face. Jamica's more talkative, trying to, in my opinion, convince people that they're a match made in heaven when they're not. Let me put their picture back up, which is also the thumbnail again. And so, the smirk that's on James's face right now is pretty much the smirk that he wore for the entire show until they got to the ending of, well, not the end, like towards the end of the episode, and even at the dinner when he broke down in tears. But I do believe he broke down in tears really for the sake of himself. To me, James really gave selfish. And then Jamica, the smile that's on her face right here, yeah, that smile got wiped off real quick, especially when they got to the dinner scene. So when they got to the dinner scene after the task of asking the questions, and really James didn't give up too much information. The fact that Jamica and James, talked about growing up together and like, how do you think this is going to work? And James was like, you know what? This is what we want to do, pretty much. It's what I got from it. Like I said, he's just in his own little world. Now, like I said, back to the dinner scene. James's daughter is still upset from the question and answer session earlier in the day. She couldn't even eat her dinner. She was sitting at the table crying. It took James's friend, I believe his name is Yemen, to tell Jamica to comfort your daughter. See what is making her upset. And he just eat his spaghetti and just looking with that smirk on his face. Like, it is what it is. It's just, I don't know what to tell her. So then her auntie sitting next to her was like, okay, I'll start, right? The auntie had to step in. The friend had to step in. Jamica's mom had to step in. And then Jamica finally said, James, why don't you talk to her? And he just really acted like he didn't care that his daughter was sitting there emotional about the situation at hand. So then they went around the table and asked, how does everyone feel about, while they're sitting together, us coming together to get married? And of course, the consensus is, no, we're not with it. That's not what we feel y'all need to do. Not just because you're cousins, but also because there's so much going on in the background that you're rushing into things. And like I said, they're both still married. How you plan on getting this to going forward? Jamica said earlier that, it's baby steps to get a divorce. If you want to be married to your cousin, you got a ring on it. If that's what you want to do, get the ball rolling, regardless. James has been married 3 times. It would be 4 if you married her. So this is like nothing like next, as far as I'm concerned. Now, when they talked to Jamica's daughter, she's, eating her food, but she has her head down. It doesn't seem like she has the best, at least in this moment, in this instance, self-esteem. She's been hit with the news that her mom is going to marry her cousin, and it was a secret, right? So Jamica's daughter says she feels depressed. She doesn't feel good. She feels that James is taking her mom away from her. She said her and her mom are real close and tight, but when her and James are together, it's like, you don't know who I am or who my sisters are. And, she broke down, but it's just the fact of her mother didn't realize what was going on, not with just this one daughter. She has 5 other daughters. Now, I'm going to assume that this daughter on the show, Jamica's, is over the age of 18. And maybe the other ones are maybe a little older, maybe a little younger, but still, you're blindsiding your children. And so the young lady says, I'm so happy I'm going to college next year. I won't have to deal with this. And I think with that response alone, Jamica opened her eyes to the thought and her ears to like, wow, to the hurt that not just this daughter, but the other ones are possibly feeling, so that comment she made earlier, riding, they ride for their dad, there's way more to it than that. And so I do believe that helped her recognize that. All right. So the next morning, James and Jamica meet with Tracy, and they tell Tracy how everything went down. And they were saying how they had pushback and, with the family. And Tracy was like, well, what did you expect? There's a lot of trauma here, within yourselves and the trauma that you're bringing into the family. And so James made a comment to the fact of, well, he feels like he's not being heard and everything feels like it's falling back on him. I mean, even before they get to the marriage family therapist and that has a background in trauma that Tracy sends them to, again, just the energy of the dinner and the lack of response with his daughter, and he's going to talk about the pushback? I mean, like I said, that right there, you knew something else was going on. And so Tracy goes on to say that, you know what? We're the parent, when you're a parent and you're getting pushback from your children and, because James also mentioned that, like none of his daughters, even the ones he helped raise, talk to him anymore. He is feeling like, if they don't want to talk to me, it's their bad. But then Tracy was like, we're the parents. We hold a higher value. We're the ones that take the accountability, and we open the conversation first to allow them to be able to be comfortable to talk back with us, so to get what they need, and James is hearing it, but he's not listening. So let's continue to the marriage family therapist. So it's James, Jamica, Jamica's daughter, James's daughter, and Jamica's mother. And so the therapist is talking with them about how do we get here with the trauma? How do we resolve it? How do we move forward? Okay. And so Jamica's daughter is saying again how she wants to go to therapy with her mother. And James is sitting there. He really looks non-responsive, right? Jamica is the talkative one out the bunch. Now, don't get me wrong. James looks like he could give you a good cussing out if he wants to. He comes across like in my opinion, that's the energy he gives. He's quiet for the show, but don't let all that quiet fool you because he got a lot of extra energy. Okay, like I mentioned in the beginning that he's carrying around. But it's again when James's daughter speaks up to the lack of relationship she has with her dad. And she's back to being emotional again. Well, it turns out James's daughter, she had a baby when she was 16. She said when she was 16, her dad had already moved on and moved out the house, moved to another state, to another relationship. And she felt abandoned. No one was there for her. She said even when she had her baby, he wasn't there. She said, my mom came in her construction clothes to the hospital. And James was like, I just came off the road on the truck. I was there for you, blah, 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 blah. Now he's trying to overtalk his daughter and the emotion she's trying to get out with the therapist of how she's feeling abandoned at such a young age by her dad. And you know what happens? James gets up. He walks away, sits on a rock, literally, and he starts crying. He's emotional. And so, the therapist does come over to talk to James because now he gets up and starts to walk away. I guess, he's like, I can't deal with this because the conversation continues with Jamica's mom, her daughter, and James's daughter. And James's daughter is really having a hard time processing it. And the thing that I really liked is that James's daughter and Jamica's daughter are sitting there, and they're the ones comforting each other. They don't even know each other, and you could tell that if anyone needs therapy and that they have been traumatized by their parent situation, it's those two, because you could just feel the energy leaving both of them. So James's daughter, I do believe her name is Kiana. One of them is Kiana, but I think it's her. James's daughter gets up and walks away. So I'm not sure if James thinks that she's coming the direction he's going to, but he gets up and walks somewhere else. And the therapist follows him and she's like, so what's going on? He's like, no, I don't want to talk right now. She goes, no, tell me what's the issue? What's going on? He goes, I just don't think I'm being heard. And just all this extra stuff. I'm like, once again, the lack of emotion you have for your daughter, but you want someone to feel for you is, to me, out of this world. So let's continue. Kiana, I believe her name, goes back to the house. She gets it from the therapy session. She can't take this no more. And I don't blame her. She packs up her stuff and she goes out to the Uber or the car that they got there with. And she's like, I can't do this no more. I'm headed home. So then we see James, because Jamica, her mom, and her daughter are still, I guess, sitting outside, letting them handle the situation, right? James goes in the house and he's crying, but he stops with his brother and his friend. His friend Yemen is full of tears and emotion because he saw Kiana, I believe her name, Kiana Kia. And if that's not her name, I apologize, but I believe it is. Pack her stuff and leave. He's like, man, what's going on? And so James is whispering and they still got the mic pack on, like, I can't do this no more. Whatever he was saying. And the friend had to tell him, go see about your daughter. She says she's going to leave. So James, I'm sorry, let me bring my tone down, right? So James goes out to the car, opens the door, talks to Kia, and it's like, everybody, quote, everybody wants you to come back in the house. Forget everybody. He should have said, I would like for you to come back in the house, not everybody. Because to me, that's putting distance to it. You came out here to talk to me to tell me what everybody else wants. Like, what do you want? So she was like, no, I don't want to. And then after that, she was just quiet while he was saying, well, if you come back inside, we can, do whatever. And she's not here for it, right? That was the perfect opportunity to like, hey, can I get a hug? And give a sincere apology. He was like, well, as he backed up, well, I'm sorry and I apologize. I'm like, she don't believe that. She does not believe that. She was crying. And guess what? She left. And I don't blame Kiana one bit. But like I said, miss me with the everybody wants you to come back inside. James, please. Okay. She know you're a Rolling Stone. She feels abandoned. I'm sure your other daughters feel abandoned. I mean, you already admitted that you don't talk to them anyways, that you have a distant relationship. I mean, you picked up and left for every relationship you've been in, every relationship. So, and then you hid this too. You know what I'm saying? And then, like Kiana said earlier, she's like, am I, what's she supposed to call her if they got married? Is that's my cousin or my stepmom? I mean, that is all trifling to me. All right, moving on. Let me bring my voice down because see, James got me upset with his complete nonsense behavior, and he does not have any emotion for anyone's self but himself. He is so selfish. I said it, and I said what I said. All right. So later in the evening, James and Jamica are in the room talking, and Jamica is surprised, James too, a little bit. I mean, this is what he's saying to her, that things didn't go the way that they thought it would go today. I'm like, you, for real, miss me with that. You knew good and well that things weren't going to go the way you thought it was going to go at all. Day 1, 2, or 3, because you hid this information from everybody. Okay, so how do you think it was going to be like all roses and butterflies? So that's when Jamica told James that she came to the realization that her daughter was depressed and how everything has affected her, and that she just couldn't continue on with the relationship with her daughter being the way that it is, and she wanted to amend it and fix it. And her daughter's name is Lyric, and how upsetting it is for her, and that it just wasn't a good look for her and James to continue on the relationship the way it is, to be engaged at all. She said they have a lot of inner work to do. I'm like, I am so happy that she realized it, and that the light went on literally when her daughter said how depressed she's been. And like I said, that's daughter one of, there's 5 more, one of 6. Well, so I don't know how the other ones are, like I said, but just imagine you took yourself away from your family unit, your true family unit, your children, to be with a man that's your cousin, hiding in secret. I mean, listen, y'all should have been thought this through, but you were in love with a Rolling Stone who happens to be your cousin. It's sending me. It's really sending me. All right, let's continue. So it's the next day, day 3, and day 3 is called the blessing ceremony. And that's where the families come together, and the couple says whether they're going to continue to be either a fiancé or just step back and just be family for right now, with their own. So before all that, James and Jamica meet with Tracy before they talk to the family about their decision. And when they tell Tracy about the events of the day before with the marriage family therapist and different things like that, that's when Jamica repeated that, because her daughter, what did I say her name was? I forgot. I'm sorry. That her daughter was telling her that she was depressed and how upset and crying she was, and that it took a toll on her mental health, is when she knew that she needed to step back and do something else. And Tracy noticed that Jamica wasn't wearing her ring, but James was. And she said, yes, I took it off because, I can't do this. I have to work on me. And then James was saying that he recognizes he needs to work on himself too. But at the same time, I think he was just taking Jamica's lead, because I honestly don't think he feels there's anything wrong with him. Now, do y'all think that James is really going to step back, take therapy, work on it, and then maybe repropose, even though they cousins? Because see, James, like I said, has been married 3 times. He's still not divorced. And he is definitely the epitome of a Rolling Stone. Okay. I don't think he's going to wait for his cousin. I do believe he's going to move on. So, anyways, after they meet with Tracy, they gather together with the family before they leave. And, her daughter's name is Lyric. They tell the family that they're not going to get married and they're going to focus on themselves. And the way Lyric, Jamica's daughter, looked like she gave a collective, whew, you could just feel that energy like, whew, my mom is finally hearing me. I was so, oh my gosh, relieved for that young lady to know that her mom heard her. And I really hope that Jamica follows through with what she says she's going to do, not just with Lyric, but with her other children as well. I mean, mental health and depression can take a hold on some people to the point of where they just don't want to be around anymore. And the way Lyric was talking, getting away, going to college next year, and just didn't want to deal with her mom and just having her head down, just her whole personality. I mean, you just never know. I mean, the relationship is, James and Jamica's relationship is unconventional at its best, but, there's a whole lot more work that needs to be done, not just within themselves, but as a family unit in general. And so, but to me, why was James's family, his friends and his brother, more emotionally connected to the process than James? That's an eye-opener right there. So, but anyways, that was Family Fiancé episode 1, season 4. In the credits rolling, at the very end, it did say that James and Jamica are seeking, therapy, and that Jamica and her daughter were also looking for a mental health therapist. I mean, they should ask Tracy for, a referral before they even leave up out of there. I'm talking about Jamica and Lyric, okay? Because that's who really needs to get the information, and maybe they could give it to Kiana, James's daughter, too. And then in the credits, it also said that James has texted Kiana a few times, but Kiana hasn't responded. Kiana is tired. She's emotionally drained and tired. She also needs some therapy, in my opinion. And it's just the fact of James coming out of his selfish bubble and finding out what the root of everything is, and maybe who he really is, and living his truth too. That's all I'm going to say about it. And I said what I said. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I so would love to hear your comments. And follow me on this channel and other videos that I do. And I will see you in the next one. Until then, live simply, be grateful. Oh, let me hit my outro.